Ride them out.
Napkin and I'll do
Yeah, of course.
Thank you. And I'll try one of those. Thank you.
No problem.
I know you. And I had just seen her somewhere. I know.
Called to the college under medical science clinic. What I came from, get each other. But now we're okay. I have no idea what. Tim is here. Concessions, food is being passed, and I got told I couldn't wear my own clothes, so I have a stylist.
If you had a question for Kai during his interview, feel free to write it down on this piece of paper, and then just...
He got muted to that.
At the bottom, they look like they're the actual fruit, but they're not. They like grow two of them. Not really. Michelle.
You don't have to.
What? You're for it.
It's a special night, and we are delighted that you're all here. I am Melissa Hathaway. I'm the Director of Marketing here. Wait till the real stars come out. Before we start the onstage conversation, it is my great pleasure to invite representatives from government to come and present proclamations to the wonderful, fabulous Kai Boyd, who's brought us all together tonight. First, will you welcome Laurel Green? She is the district representative for Senator Mike McGuire.
Hi, everyone. Oh, that's a bright light. As Melissa mentioned, I'm Laurel Green. I'm here on behalf of Senator McGuire, and also a rep from Assemblymember Levine's office could not be here, so I'm happy to be here in their stead as well. Thank you so much for including us in your evening.
Thank you for coming.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I have a very brief excerpt from the resolution that I just handed Melissa, and then I'm going to get right out of your hair. So bear with me. Whereas, under the leadership of Kai Boyd, Rialto Cinemas has proven itself to be a model corporate citizen, evidenced by its donation of free movie screenings to local schools and its commitment to hosting fundraising events for local nonprofit organizations. Whereas Rialto Cinema's extensive community engagement also includes its free screening partnership with the Sebastopol Teen Club, its participation in the Outwatch Wine Country's LGBTQI, and the Sebastopol Documentary Film Festivals, to name just a few of its many affiliations. And whereas by contributing to the success and sustainability of the community in which it does business, Rialto Cinemas enhances the quality of life in Sonoma County and provides local residents with a sense of civic pride by providing a forum in which people can participate, learn, and flourish. Now, therefore be it, resolved by Senator Mike McGuire and Assemblymember Mark Levine, that they congratulate Rialto Cinemas on the celebration of its 20th anniversary, commend the vital role it has played in the cultural history of Sonoma County, and extend sincere best wishes that it will enjoy continued success in the future.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
And now it's our great pleasure to invite up Leo Chi, who is, wait, he has a title? He is the district director to our local supervisor, Linda Hopkins.
All right, thank you so much. I'm thrilled to be here. Again, my name's Leo Chi. I'm Linda Hopkins' district director, and I'm really thrilled to be here on behalf of the Board of Supervisors. So this is the resolution of the Board of Supervisors of the County of Sonoma, State of California, celebrating the 20th anniversary of Rialto Cinemas. I won't read the whole thing either, but I'll pick out key passages.
Whereas.
Whereas Kai Boyd created Rialto Cinemas in 2000 when he saw a need for art house cinema. The original location was in Santa Rosa and relocated to Sebastopol in 2012. Kai has brought hundreds of excellent foreign and independent films to Sonoma County for the past 20 years. And whereas Rialto Cinemas has been responsible for developing within the region a passion for outstanding international cinema in all languages, and whereas Rialto Cinemas has contributed to our local economy by bringing in thousands of people to see films and attend events, including the Metropolitan Opera live in HD and plays from the National Theatre London. And whereas Rialto Cinemas has helped many first-time filmmakers by allowing them to bring their vision to the public and giving them screenings, now, therefore, be it resolved that the Sonoma County Board of Supervisors celebrates and congratulates Rialto Cinemas for its 20th anniversary.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. I gotta go.
And the city of Sebastopol also recognized Kai with a proclamation. Here we go. They have their meetings tonight. None of them could come. Also, Congress member Jared Huffman has this, and Dianne Feinstein weighed in. So that is the very official. What happened? That is the very official start to the festivities. But as this is a movie theater, we should probably start that way.
When I was a toddler, I was fascinated by things that went in circles. Sprinklers, the washing machine. If it went around, I was fascinated by it. And I remember the first movie I ever saw, my mom took my brother and I to see Walt Disney's The Aristocats at the Liberty Theater in Great Falls, Montana. And from that very first experience, I was hooked on the experience of going to the movies. The darkened room, the lights go down, and you have this experience with a group of strangers. And then in kindergarten, we had a movie one day. And I can't tell you what the movie was, but I can tell you that the projector was a Kodak Pageant 16mm projector. And I was fascinated with this projector at the back of the room and the reels that went round and round. And those two things started me on a path to where we are today. I grew up in Great Falls, Montana, where we only ever got mainstream Hollywood movies, and that was the movie diet of my youth. When I went to college, Roger Ebert put out his top 10 list the year I was a freshman, and there was a French film called Diva on it. And I'd never seen a French film, but I liked the description of the movie. I went to see it, and it changed my life. It opened up a whole world of cinema to me that I'd never known before. And that's why I'm an art house exhibitor, is because I believe in this whole range of storytelling. In doing the business planning for what became Rialto Cinemas, I read a lot of different books about business. And one of them, a book about women entrepreneurs called Our Wildest Dreams, Making Money, Having Fun, Doing Good, really became my philosophy of business, because that is what we need to do. Making money, we have to show a profit because profit allows us to continue to invest in the theater. We want to have fun, we want to enjoy what we do, we want the people who work for us to enjoy what they do and to be here. I mean, work is spelled differently than play, but we should all have a good time doing it. And the doing good part has been especially rewarding because we've been able to use film to work with a huge variety of not-for-profits to bring awareness to certain issues or causes.
For the first 4 years that we had our Jewish Film Festival, we wandered looking for the right place. And when Kai and I first met 20 years ago, it was as if we had come home.
Many organizations have come to them and they open their arms and their theater to them.
It's not just a movie theater. It's not just a place where people go to see movies. It's a part of the community, and that's because of the way that Kai has put this business together. And he really pays attention to what are the opportunities to support nonprofits in the community, what are the ways to serve the community and be a partner and be a good community citizen.
What's so special for me and for so many other people about the Rialto is the films that Kai makes available to us. He makes it so easy for us to find the films that we want to see, the films that we really are meant to see.
It's a family and it's a community, and that's what makes all the difference in the world.
Thank you for joining us on this cinematic journey for the last 20 years. We hope you enjoy the journey you're about to take with us. We look forward to seeing you again at the movies. Enjoy the show.
Moment you've all been waiting for. Please welcome Kai Boyd and our good friend Chris Smith, fabled press Democrat, columnist, and journalist. Chris Smith.
Here we go.
Look at all those people.
Whoops.
So, Kai.
Yes.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being here.
I'm pretty sure that the one question everybody wants answered is, what do you do to that popcorn to make it so... But we'll get to that. First, we'll rewind to the beginning. This film made by my former Press Democrat colleague, John Beck, is a wonderful little piece. I know one image that I will have always is you telling about how as a kid you were entranced and enthralled by things that went around and around and around. So I imagine...
It's all true.
So in kindergarten, actually we all know that Ralphie of the Christmas Story had his Red Ryder 200-shot range model air rifle. And you, at 5, cared nothing about the film that was enthralling your fellow kindergartners because you sat hypnotized by the Kodak Pageant 16 millimeter sound film projector. I can just see you there. I can just imagine you're sitting there. Now, do I recall that you also, not long after that, started your own underground theater?
Well, there's a shot in there of me with the projector in front of a chalkboard, and apparently it was funny because that was written on the board. that I think was at our old house before my parents moved. And it was it 1971 or 1972, Mom, that we, or was it 73? Anyway, somewhere in the very early 70s, we moved. And we moved to a house with an unfinished basement. And so Mom got half the basement for storage, and my brother Byron and I got the other half of the basement. And that's when I started having my own movie theater. It even had a name, Electric City Cinemas.
Electric City.
I would show 8mm movies that I would buy, usually, you know, Disney cartoons. You could, in the 70s, you could buy condensed, like 20-minute highlight reels of major motion pictures. This was before the age of VHS. You know, HBO and Showtime existed, but not much else in terms of, you know, movies on television. You know, this is when the, you know, the Friday night movie or the Sunday night movie on ABC, CBS, NBC was still a big deal.
Oh, yeah.
And so I would show movies, and I would play movie theater. I used my mom's ironing board as a concession stand, and I charged. I know that doesn't surprise any of you. And yeah, so it was.
How old were you in that era?
Oh, I was, I think, 10, 11, 12.
All right.
And I mean, yeah, so.
And then, so then what? Did you just focus your life like a projector beam on a career related to motion pictures? Was it just a straight shot?
Not really, not really. In high school, I was in distributive education, which is a work study or work skills kind of program. And when I found out as a sophomore in high school that if I took these business classes, then when I was a senior, I could take distributive ed and be part of BECA Clubs of America, I could get out of school at 12:30. Sign me up. And so I worked at Montgomery Ward's.
Wow, okay, yeah.
And so I've done time in retail. I worked for my father. My dad and his brother owned Boyd's Burgermaster in Great Falls, Montana. And it started in 1954, about 10 years before I was born. And I worked for my dad. I made fountain drinks. Sometimes I worked the fryer. Sometimes I was the assistant to the cook on the grill. It was a very un-PC job title. In those days, it was called the Bun Boy. And one of the things we made was we made flying hamburgers.
Flying hamburgers.
Yeah, it's like a panini press, but you put the hamburger with the toppings, you put it between two pieces of bread, buttered the panini press, put the thing down, trimmed the crust. You ended up with this round thing that was like a flying saucer.
Wow.
And I know so many people that have asked me over the years for the various recipes from the Burgermaster, and most of them I don't have. But one of the things we were famous for was flying pizza burgers.
Wow. So then you went to college, and I also will always remember you talking about showing Jaws at the campus pool.
Yes. It was the middle of winter, and we decided to have what we called a dive-in movie. Get it? Drive-in movie, so we showed Jaws it was the University of Montana, so the Montana Grizzlies, go Grizz. It was the Grizzly pool, and we showed Jaws. The recreation staff made us have an intermission because they didn't want people to get too waterlogged because it was a 2-hour movie. And, you know, we kind of thought the whole thing was kind of just kind of a fun, campy lark. You know, Jaws in a swimming pool. But there were students that had never seen the movie and were very serious and intent about watching the movie.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, I had some friends in the audience and a inflatable rubber shark. We didn't use that much after about the first 15 minutes when it became apparent that there were people who were really serious about watching the movie.
And while you were in college, were you thinking that you might have some career related somehow to motion pictures, or is that just was it just a hobby?
It was, well, I was programming films for the campus, and then I was asked if I would apply to be the performing arts coordinator for the Student Program Council, and so I presented performing arts for a year, presented people like Ray Charles, famous drummer, I just lost his name, Buddy Rich? Yeah, Buddy Rich, and the Chieftains, and the Kodo drummers, and all sorts of a very eclectic thing, and a classical musician who I don't remember his name, but I remember going on the local early morning television show, and those of you who know me well, I'm not a morning person, never been a morning person, had to be up at 7:30 in the morning to be on the local television station, and the prominent composer of I believe he was a pianist, the prominent composer of his concert was Chopin. And I pronounced it Chopin.
Chopin.
Multiple times.
So somehow you got out of college.
I got out of college. And the experience working with the Performing Arts Series and then being the student director of campus programs, and then I went and worked in the drama department and worked in publicity and marketing, kind of set me on a path to work in the arts. And so I got out of college and I got a job working for the Dearborn Highlands Arts Council in Lawrenceburg, Indiana.
Yeah.
It was in southeastern Indiana, the poorest county in all of Indiana with the highest unemployment and the highest rate of alcoholism. Also happens to be the county where at the time the Seagram's wine cooler bottling plant was.
Yeah, what a coincidence.
I don't know, are these two things related? Anyway, I worked for a local arts council presenting all kinds of things, and I did that long enough to realize that I needed more education to be doing what I was doing because I didn't know enough. And so I enrolled in the arts administration program at the University of Cincinnati College Conservatory of Music. I'm not a musician. But I got a master's degree in arts management.
Arts management.
Yeah, and it's actually those skills that I have used every single day since 20 years ago, because all those things that we do in the arts about audience development and connecting audiences with art, I brought all that into cinema exhibition. And so that's really my talent, is finding stories, artists that I think people will connect to, and then figuring out how to promote that to an audience. So that's really what got me started. And then I graduated from my master's program. I went to work for Indiana Repertory Theater as a grant writer. I worked for a development director that was difficult, I guess would be the polite word to say. She turned the entire staff of the development department over the year I was there 2.5 times.
Wow.
And that includes the secretary that arrived one day at 9 and left at noon and we never saw again. So that I lasted 7.5 months was kind of a big deal.
Like a career.
Yeah, but during that, and I was a grant writer and I wrote grants and I wrote grant reports, and it's no fun when your boss and your boss's boss don't see eye to eye and you're this ping pong ball in the middle.
No doubt.
So that wasn't fun. And so I resigned. And so I decided I would temp. I'd figure out something to do because I couldn't get another arts job in Indianapolis. And at the time I was interested in staying in Indianapolis because I'd met Michael, who became my husband many years later.
Hey, Michael.
And so the temp agency sent me to the nutrition and dietetics department at Indiana University Medical Center.
Wow.
And so I got a job. I worked for them. I met some nice people. They needed an inpatient patient service manager. And so I managed inpatient food service in a 400-bed hospital. And I didn't have a degree in dietetics. I was I knew nothing about.
Well, you knew how to make those flying hamburgers.
I knew how to make those flying hamburgers, and I knew that food needed to look good to be
Yeah.
to be presented, and so and it really was bringing a customer service thing to this hospital, and really working with the nursing units, and the unit secretaries were really the most important people in the hospital. You want something to happen in a hospital? Become friends with the unit secretary. They control everything.
So
I did that, and then Michael and I decided that, we didn't want to live in Indiana anymore.
No?
And so we moved to San Francisco without jobs.
And what year was that?
That was 1990.
1990.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, 1993 we moved, wasn't it, Michael?
To San Francisco.
93 we moved to San Francisco. And I went to work as a temp again, and they said, well, you worked at a hospital, you must know medical terminology. Stated as a statement, not a question. Did not require an answer. And so they sent me to the kidney transplant service at UCSF.
How many of those surgeries did you perform?
0, but I for the practice.
Oh, okay.
I scheduled surgery for the practice, and I supported 4 nephrologists who are medical doctors who are specialty is the diseases of the kidney. And I did that for, I think, 5 years, and long enough to know that I needed to do something that nourished my soul.
Yeah.
And that turned out to be this. And so, I said to Michael, I really want to, open my own movie theater. And so
All right.
that set me on a path. I wrote a business plan, looked at markets where there were successful art houses, and then I was hunting for a market, and I looked all over the place.
All over the Bay Area? Or
No,
beyond?
all over the Western United States.
All over the Western United States.
But we didn't really want to leave the Bay Area, and we came to Santa Rosa.
Had you ever heard of Santa Rosa?
Yeah, I'd heard of Santa Rosa. Before we moved to the Bay Area, Michael was out here in the summer of '93 consulting with the Eureka Theater Company in San Francisco. The Eureka Theater Company commissioned and produced Tony Kushner's brilliant masterpiece, Angels in America.
Oh, yeah.
And Michael was hired to help them mount a commercial, meaning open-ended for-profit production of Angels in America. And so he was working with them, and I came out to visit, and we came up to the wine country, and we drove up here, we stayed at Atwood out in Guerneville, and we had a nice time. And then after we moved here, I forget why we came to Santa Rosa one day, but we came to Santa Rosa and was like, this is a nice town.
Not bad.
And so we started looking into it. And at the same time, I had a friend who worked for United Artists Theaters, and United Artists was in the process of disposing of some theaters. And one of the theaters that was on their disposition list was the Empire in Rohnert Park.
The Empire.
Yeah. And
is it still I know it's not the Empire, but is that building still exist, or what is there now?
The building still exists, and if you have problems with your horse or your dog or your cat, they'll be very happy to help you out.
Yeah, all right. I know where it is.
Yeah, and so the building was owned by Cotting Enterprises, and so I wrote to David Cotting, and somebody with no experience, and but an idea, and he contacted me and said, well, I'm not really interested in leasing anyone the Empire because United Artists has a lease on it for another number of years, but I've got this other theater over in Santa Rosa that is going to become available, and you should go look at it. So Michael and I went and looked at it, and I went, yeah, I could see this. And so thanks to Bo, who's here tonight, my wonderful attorney, Bo and I came up and we sat in David's office and hammered out the basics of a deal, sat under the moose, and it was an experience, but David and I got along well, and I leased the Lakeside, and there we were. The Lakeside was the Lakeside 5, and we turned it into Rialto Cinemas Lakeside. And
it occurred to me to say that if Gay LeBaron were here, maybe she is. Gay here? No. All right. All right. Well, I'll send her, I'll take her some flowers tomorrow or something. I hope she's all right. But if she were here, she might say that you're old if you remember when Kai Boyd opened an art house that he dubbed the Rialto Cinemas Lakeside on Summerfield Road across from Howarth Park. And you're older if you were around when that building was erected by Hugh Cotting in 1961, and it became what? It was first Skippy and Merrill Baxter's Santa Rosa Ice Arena. Good bones.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what was your, simply stated, your vision for that place when you opened it up? What did you hope to create?
I was really looking to create a Sonoma County equivalent to the Embarcadero Center Cinema, which I'd worked for about 18 months in San Francisco. And, you know, everything about the demographic research that I did on Sonoma County, you know, pointed to that there was an audience for this, that there was an audience that would be interested in, you know, art films, specialty films, documentaries, foreign films. And it was, you know, it wasn't that the other theaters never showed them. It's just that nobody ever put their money where their mouth was and had the commitment to do it 365 days a year. Because through my film buyers, Doug Endicott and Mark Schulte, who were our film buyers then and are still our film buyers today, they were able to send me data that I looked at, you know, a couple of years worth of data of the movies that played in Santa Rosa. And I could see it happen where, you know, different exhibitors would drop an art film in for a couple of weeks, and then, you know, the next big thing out of Hollywood would be coming, and it didn't matter how well it was doing, they'd kick it off screen and open the next big thing, which many times did not do as well as the thing that they just kicked off screen. And I'm like, okay, this is crazy. You know, and it was like this game. You know, like you had to like figure out where this movie was going to play because it was going to show up here, then a different one would be over here, and it was just kind of like whack-a-mole.
It didn't really have a home.
It didn't really have a home, and so we set out to create a home with the idea that it's really the Field of Dreams idea. If you build it, they will come, and you provide people with a consistent venue, and you know, a consistent experience, and you know, yes. And it really, you know, in the first year was challenging. You know, we started out strong because it was Oscar season. I love Oscar season. It's my favorite time of the year when we have an embarrassment of riches to show. But that summer of 2000 was bleak. I mean, there were a lot of movies that just didn't work. And so it was a long, challenging summer. And, you know, but then
Was it bad enough to make you wonder if Santa Rosa was right?
No, it wasn't bad enough to make me wonder if Santa Rosa was right. It was a similar problem to one we had in 2019, where the movies weren't resonating for audiences. The movies that were made weren't things that, you know, the audiences were connecting to. And so it's, you know, people will go to the movies. I get asked this all the time. People will go to the movies, but you have to give them something that they want to see, or at least something that is interesting to them. You know, it's about people learning to trust you. You know, because as time went on, we were able to, you know, take some wider swings, and people would they'd come to see something, and they'd see a trailer for a film that they were, you know, might be interested in, because I'm all about promotion. And, you know, movie trailers are the cheapest and most effective form of advertising there is, because you're presenting it to an audience of ticket buyers. Yep. I mean, they've already bought a ticket. They're already in the door. They are the most likely people to come back.
Yes.
You know, if you can, you know, draw them in with something that, you know, hopefully they want to see. And so, you know, as people began to, you know, see 2 or 3 things that they saw that they liked, like, okay, yeah, I'll take a chance on that Iranian film that I've never heard of, or, you know, I'll, you know, try some, you know, they'll try things. And so it's about building a relationship with your audience. So yes. I'm rambling.
No, that's good. Now, I'm not going to ask you for your favorite films, but I wonder if you could recall some of the, particularly in the early days, some of the most significant or surprising films. Surprising the way they were received.
In the early days, well, I think my favorite surprising story of the early days was the summer of 2000. And we were showing a movie called Sunshine, which was not the Danny Boyle movie. It was a movie, it was an immigrant story, and I believe it was in a European country. I really should have looked this up, but anyway, the movie didn't do as well as we hoped. And in those days, when everything was done on 35 millimeter film, the studios, they didn't want to spend tons of money making more and more prints. So they would ask you for the print back if you weren't grossing enough. Well, Paramount Classics wanted their print back, and Doug and I didn't have something booked in as a fill, and we had a hole. And we were trying to figure out what to do. And at the time, it was Clo's Parkside Grill next door.
Oh, yeah.
So I went over to Clo's to have lunch. I ordered my lunch, and I'm like, I have to go to the bathroom. So I went to the men's room, and they do, what a lot of places do in the men's room. They tack up sections of the newspaper. So I wasn't interested in the sports section, but I was reading the news section, and it was saying, that Alec Guinness had passed away. And I'm like, okay, I know we can't get Star Wars, but could we get Bridge on the River Kwai? Called Doug, and he says, well, I'll check. And he called me back and said, yeah, Sony has a print, and Sony, the studios won't send out a classic or a repertory title without a guarantee down in advance. And in those days, Sony took credit cards. So I charged it to my credit card, and they sent the print. And we were really, really surprised on Friday morning when we opened up the Press Democrat. And there is this fantastic piece that Roger Ebert wrote, all about Bridge on the River Kwai. He did this ongoing series throughout his career called The Great Movies.
Yeah.
And so the Press Democrat did us an incredible favor with this, thank you, with this movie, this movie review that we didn't expect to get.
Amazing.
And we had no expectations. We put Bridge in the River Kwai in the smallest auditorium, figuring, if 30 or 40 people came, that would be great. Well, it sold out. So it was our most popular film the whole day. So we moved it to the biggest theater and thought, if this really works, that'd be phenomenal, but we're not counting on it. And it did really, really well. In fact, it did so well, we held the film for a second week. Wow. And it started a long-running joke that Doug and I have about dead actors at the Rialto.
Well,
it's an occasional film series, Dead Actors at Rialto Cinemas.
Well, has that phenomenon occurred other times?
It happened.
Somebody big dies, and then
it happened when David Bowie died. Yeah. We did The Man Who Fell to Earth. That was here. I wanted to do it when Prince died, but the movie I wanted to show wasn't available. Everybody and their grandmother was showing Purple Rain. And I wanted to show Sign of the Times, his concert film that he'd done. And it had a theatrical release. It was released by Cineplex Odeon Films in Canada, and they had a film releasing division in the US. Cineplex Odeon, if you may or may not know, was founded by Garth Dobrinsky. They went bankrupt. And as happens with some of these movies where the company that released it goes through financial difficulties, when they go out of business, the rights just disappear. Wow. And we couldn't find the producers, and I couldn't find anybody that had the rights to the film. And about a year later, finally Showtime Films made a deal and put it on Showtime, and that's how people got to see Sign of the Times. And you can now buy it as a digital download or a Blu-ray, but it took the people that really know how to do that a year to get the rights squared away from it. So it happens occasionally.
You told me once a sweet story about a film that I saw at your theater that I was in awe of. Winged Migration with the birds, and they're up there flying along with the birds. And there was a bit of a surprise with that one.
Okay, well, Winged Migration, yes. So first of all, as much as lots of people love the movie, and lots of people love the movie, I didn't get it.
You thought it was for the birds.
Well, it's like, okay, watch this bird fly, and then watch this bird fly, and then watch this bird fly. And, you know, I'm a story guy, and I wasn't getting the story out of it. And so, you know, but it was like, somebody on staff at the time observed that it was like, when it first opened, it was like crack for little old ladies. They just had to have it. And so, because it was, you know, it was, and a lot of times the Rialto has been little old lady central, and I love little old ladies. So, you know, women drive the art house market, and I'm forever grateful for that.
Amen.
So about 6 weeks into the run of Winged Migration, I come downstairs one day, and all of a sudden, there's like little children in my lobby. And I'm going, what the hell? I run the R-rated 5-plex. You know, my motto is, if I'm not showing something every single week that offends somebody, I'm not doing my job very well. And so why are there children in my lobby? Well, the mothers somehow had gotten wind of Winged Migration as a G-rated film that they could actually sit through, as opposed to some of the, you know, G-rated family films that, you know, just make you want to shoot your brains out. And so the film actually became a hit with parents and grandparents and their children. And Winged Migration became our longest running engagement. We thought when it came out on DVD that would kill it.
Yep.
Nope, kept going.
Who would think?
41 weeks. Those birds kept flying and flying and flying and flying and flying.
If they'd flown in circles, maybe you would have...
Touché, touché.
So you run a really wonderful movie house.
Well, thank you, but... Thank you. But it takes a great audience to make a great movie house, so thank all of you. The hand.
Well, that's true. As much fun as this is, if nobody was out there, it wouldn't be that much fun.
Well, if nobody was out there, we wouldn't be celebrating 20 years. We'd have come and gone, which is what was predicted to happen by a lot of people.
And we wouldn't be here if it were just the simple fact that Kai Boyd and Michael run a great theater. You had these resolutions presented to you tonight. You've received honors throughout the year. You received honors from the Sonoma County Commission on Human Rights, and you were previously honored by the Sonoma County Board of Supervisors and the City of Santa Rosa and many other entities. And why did they? And they didn't honor you and congratulate you and acknowledge you for running a great theater, but for operating a community treasure and a community cultural treasure.
And
how did that happen?
Well, that's really been the most rewarding thing out of everything that's happened. You know, when I started out, I was just thinking, you know, we're going to run a movie theater.
Yeah.
And I never really thought about it at the time that we were creating a community asset. But we were. That's what we were doing. We were creating a third place. There's this concept called the third place. The first place is your home. The second place is your place of business or the place you work. Third places are places in the community where the community gathers. You run into your friends, your neighbors, maybe your family, people you might know, people maybe you want to know. And Starbucks has figured this out. That's why they have, you know, chairs and comfortable lobbies and comfortable spaces and everything. And that's really what we did, is we created a third place. And really, I think a theater is, in a way, it's a conversation between the exhibitor and the audience. And it's sort of a three-way conversation, the filmmakers, the exhibitor, and the audience. Because, you know, the audience tells us what they like. They vote with their dollars.
Oh, yeah.
And they're very clear. And, you know, the audience also is, you know, we're not perfect. I've never claimed we're perfect. We're far from it. We make mistakes. And the best we can do is, when we make mistakes, own up to them, make it right as best we can. There's no pleasing everybody all the time.
No.
So, once you get over that, it's about having a conversation with people. And we've gotten to meet some amazing people and organizations through the 20 years. A lot of times we've used film to, bring awareness to an issue or to help raise money for a particular issue or a particular organization. Sometimes it can be something very, very serious. We did a Judi Dench film called Iris that was about Alzheimer's disease and dementia. Other times, we've done the Grease Sing-Along with the Sonoma County Library Foundation, and it's not cookie cutter. We don't look at events in kind of a cookie cutter way. We always, we do different things with different partners. I've always said, we're willing to pretty much play with just about any organization at least one time. They're ones that, you keep seeing us work with again and again and again. It's because they're organizations that are full of people that we really like.
Yeah.
And we get along well with them, and, we work well together. And it's, because if we're going to do this, when doing events and stuff, it's a lot of excess work, and some people just don't have the patience for it. But for me, it's always been, it's not just about the money. It's about, giving back, engaging with the community. And so, and sometimes it's just, it's just fun. I mean, we've shown, with the Library Foundation, we've shown some incredible movies over the years. I mean, we've sold out this room for Breakfast at Tiffany's. How often do you get to see Breakfast at Tiffany's or, To Catch a Thief or, great movies like that on the big screen? Actually, Jaws did really well here too, didn't it, Melissa? There are themes that keep coming back around.
Is anybody here tonight that are a part of or aware of a community or a nonprofit group that has been helped along by Kai and the Rialto Cinemas? Yeah.
Thank you.
I think that's pretty extraordinary.
Yes, it is. It's very extraordinary. Whoops, I just bumped some button or something.
So, in 2012, as I recall, it wasn't entirely voluntary that you left Santa Rosa, but you came here in 2012.
We had a little period where we were homeless and we wandered and.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
There was a lot of support.
That was another of the really surprising and moving and grateful things, was the incredible outpouring of support that happened when what happened to us happened.
It was very powerful.
Yeah, it was. But I wasn't going to go quietly into the night. I mean, I spent a lot of time and energy building a brand, and so I was going to protect it and nurture it. And so it was interesting being on the road. We had some fun doing it. It was a lot of work doing it, but we were committed to it.
That was a couple of years.
And then, it was about 18 months. And then fall of 2011, Dave Corkle, who owns Cinema West, called me and said, I want to talk to you about the theater in Sebastopol. I'm thinking, why is he calling me? And so he wanted to do a partnership. And I thought, well, okay, we'll go have a conversation about that. But, Dave and I are very different people, and he does what he does, and he does it very well. I do what I do, and I think I do it well, but I do it differently. And so, we had a conversation, and we talked about it, and then Dave said, I think I should just sell you the theater in Sebastopol. I said, that's a great idea. Well, sometimes the world has a way of serving up things that, are really beneficial. And it was, we came to Sebastopol and took this theater, and Michael and I had a vision for what it would be, and I think most of the audience and most of our employees for a while thought we were absolutely crazy. It was a renovation project that seemed like it would never end, and then all of a sudden it was done. It was a great to have it done was like a really great experience. I don't know that I ever want to renovate anything ever again, but it was, the results were fantastic.
Oh,
and, I mean, I love the theater. I really love this theater. It's my home.
Well, it's got good bones. I did not know until you told me, and then I looked it up, that this building was built in 1919, and it became the Speas, S-P-E-A-S, Vinegar Plant and Apple Brandy Distillery. And I was surprised that I saw a photo, I think from the Sonoma County Library, and it showed that this building in 1990 was sitting here still as the former Apple Brandy Distillery.
Right.
So you've done well with it.
Well, and credit also goes to the Dury family of Sebastopol, because Guy and Mary Dury, who've both since passed away, wanted Sebastopol to have a movie theater. And it was their vision that this building become a movie theater, and they interviewed exhibitors, and they liked Dave Corkle, and they made a deal, and Dave ran it for, I think 16 years. And so, and then, Dave and I made our deal, and here we are, and so
Here you are. And then I need to mention that you already know, you own and operate 2 theaters in the East Bay.
Right.
But you should probably mention a little how that happened, and how do you two run these 2 other cinemas over there?
Well, we have an incredible group of people that work for us. Michael and I certainly don't do this alone, not by a long shot. I guess this might be a good moment to thank some of them. I work with a couple of incredible women, Marianne Wade, who's our Director of Operations. Melissa Hathaway, who you saw up here earlier, our incredible Director of Marketing and Communications. Roxanne Goodfellow, who couldn't be here tonight, who is our Chief Operating Officer. Recently, Joe McCormick joined us as our administrative assistant. We're happy to have her here with us. I have employees that have been with me on the current staff since 2008. 2005. Chris Perkins, who is our technical director, he's up in the booth tonight. And Jen Tobner, who runs the website and all of our graphics and design. She's worked remotely for years. I'm incredibly jealous of Jen at the moment because she's in London.
Wow.
For multiple months. So anyway, so we have really good people. Izzy Vega and Trevor Rocco, who are the general managers of Sebastopol, have both been with us for quite a while. And everybody, Kyle, Ethan, Dom, who are the other managers of the theater, Chris Forney, who manages the kitchen, all the staff. We have incredible staff, and they're such amazing people, and we have an incredible alumni.
I'll bet.
Sure. I have 2 college professors. I have a local teacher, 2 local teachers.
Nice. Good.
It's a really great group of people. So.
I do have a few questions from adoring fans, but I did want to go back to that popcorn.
Oh, yes.
So what is it with this popcorn that makes it so...
Want to know the secret to the popcorn?
Yeah.
The secret to the popcorn is really simple.
All right.
You buy good quality seed.
All right.
You pop it with good oil.
All right.
You use real salt.
Real salt.
Real salt, not salt that's got fake butter flavoring added to it.
No. Yeah.
And you pop it at the right temperature.
That's it?
That's it.
I'll have to try that. Oh, and real butter.
And real butter, yeah. And real butter. So, and then topped with whatever your heart desires.
Well, I love
within
that you put all
reason.
those things out, yeah. I love the selection of toppings.
Well, the selection of toppings was. Oh, there are stories about the toppings, but maybe we'll do that for the 30th anniversary.
Good. All right. Okay, a few questions from the audience.
Okay.
What would you do if you didn't have to work for a living?
If I didn't have to work for a living, well, travel, visit family, go and see shows, and go to festivals around the world. You know, I mean, Michael and I are avid theater goers, and it would be great to just travel more. But I also like being home, so.
And you travel more often to Montana, I think he meant to mention also, to see his mother.
Yes, my mother who is here tonight. My father is with us in spirit.
Yeah.
So, and I wouldn't be out here without them. My father was a great example for me. He owned and operated his own business, Boyd's Burger Master, with his brother Bob. And they did that from 1954 to 1979, I believe it was, Mom? And so,
Oh, yeah.
but being, you know, an entrepreneur was up close and personal. And
you drew from a lot of sources.
I drew from a lot
No
of
doubt.
sources.
What was your favorite movie this year, and will it win the Oscar?
Okay, well, I can't say for winning the Oscar because I'm behind. I still need to see several films. But one of my favorite films this past year was a film by my favorite filmmaker, Gorinda Shada. You probably best know Gorinda Shada from a film she made that we played 3 or 4 times in 2002 and 2003 called Bend It Like Beckham.
Yeah, yeah.
She also made a movie that I love called What's Cooking, which is about 4 families in contemporary Los Angeles celebrating Thanksgiving, and they're all related somehow. It's a great movie, check it out. But she made a movie called Blinded by the Light, which is about Bruce Springsteen and how this Indian boy in the suburbs of London was, you know, impacted in the 80s by the music of Bruce Springsteen. And it's a true story.
Wow, that sounds
and it's one of the things I love about her films because they're always about multiculturalism, strong women, and people coming together. And it's, I mean, it's a wonderful movie. It should be on demand or streaming somewhere by now because it came out in August, but I really liked it. The other movie that surprised me that I really liked as well at Toronto this year was a movie that we showed and not nearly as many people came as I thought should have, was Bruce Springsteen's incredible documentary, Western Stars. I've admired Bruce. I wouldn't say I was a fan. I mean, I liked some of his music, but you know, I think the first time I bought a Bruce Springsteen album was when we were opening Fahrenheit 9/11, and I wanted to use the Born in the USA album as, you know, iconic American music for the between shows. You wrote about that. Because you heard Born in the USA at Rialto Cinemas, and you heard it at a NASCAR event the same weekend.
Yes. Good memory.
So anyway, but Western Stars really gives you a whole insight into Bruce, not only as a songwriter, but as an artist and as a person, and it was just really, I just really admired the movie, and I wish more people had seen it, but the timing wasn't good. There were events happening in Sonoma County, so we'll leave it at that.
Do you have a favorite all-time movie if you were going to...
Well, one of them would be Diva,
Yeah.
the movie that changed my life. But I'm also a huge fan of Grease. I'm a huge fan of Breakfast at Tiffany's. And this is the one that surprises people. I'm also a big fan of Die Hard. You know, because sometimes I believe in cinema therapy. You know, sometimes you just need to go spend 2 hours with Bruce Willis kicking the crap out of the bad guys and going, yippee-ki-yay!
Yeah. let's see. Why is it that you do not seem to think that Isabel Huppert is the greatest living actress?
I never said I didn't think she was the greatest living actress, Bo.
It was unsigned.
But she doesn't make a lot of, how shall I say this, accessible films. I think, she's like a very rare Scotch. She's a refined taste.
And then someone asked what your favorite movie was when you were 5, but
I would say The Aristocats.
The Aristocats.
It's the only one I remember.
Well, unless there's anything that you thought I was going to ask and didn't, I would just like to say thank you, congratulations. I know.
Thank you.
On behalf of everybody, we so appreciate what you have. We're so glad that you came to Sonoma County, both of you in 2000.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all for joining us tonight. Along with getting married, this is a highlight of my life, so I'm so grateful that you are all here to share this. Paul Hawken has something that he talks about in his great book, Growing a Business, which is the single best book about small business ever written. He talks about going into business as a way of becoming who you are. I really, truly believe that. And you've all helped me become who I am. So thank you all for coming. Please join us in the lobby. We're going to have a little toast and some dessert.
Thank you.
Thank you all for coming to join us tonight. A great theater doesn't exist without a great audience, and Sonoma County is a great audience. So thank you for 20 years of movies, to 20 more years of movies. Thank you so much. There are desserts, and also as you leave, we have lovely parting gifts for you all. So don't leave without stopping by the table by the front doors. Thank you all.